All right, so this video is how we do the trends in atmospheric carbon dioxide lab, or just the CO2 lab. All right, so first let's read the intro here. It says, although carbon dioxide makes up only about 0.04% of the total volume of gases in the Earth's atmosphere, its impact on our climate appears to be significant. Scientists have little doubt that the Earth was warmer in the past when carbon dioxide levels were higher. So for example, like 100 million years ago, during the time of the dinosaurs, the Earth was warmer back then, and there was also higher carbon dioxide levels. Thus, any increase in carbon dioxide levels today would be expected to result in a gradual increase in temperature throughout the world. Not all carbon dioxide is a result of human activities. Carbon dioxide can be produced naturally. The respiration of animals and the decay of dead plants and animals are two sources. However, neither of these sources is significant when compared to the amount of carbon dioxide released by burning such carbon fuels as coal, oil, and natural gas. Carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere have been measured for many years. The longest continuous record comes from air samples taken on Mauna Loa, an inactive volcano and the highest peak in Hawaii. In this activity, we will look at several recent years of Mauna Loa data, as well as values from the first full year of measurement in 1959. All right. So, a few pages into the lab, we have this data table right here, and it has 5 consecutive years of carbon dioxide data. And down at the bottom of the column here, like here's year 2010, down at the bottom of the column here, it tells me what the average concentration was for the year. So it's 389.9, and it's in parts per million, the carbon dioxide. So what you should notice is that from 2010 to 2011 went up, to 2012 it went up, to 2013 it went up, to 2014 went up. So every single year, the average amount of carbon dioxide goes up. All right? And again, that's mostly the result of cars burning gasoline produces a lot of carbon dioxide, or power plants, coal-based power plants, or natural gas-based power plants. They burn lots and lots of fossil fuels, which produce lots and lots of carbon dioxide. So the amount of carbon dioxide is increasing steadily. Now though, if you look through this data, what you'll see is that the values of carbon dioxide aren't just increasing throughout the year though. If I look through this and I would circle the highest value in 2010, I'd see the highest value was right here in May. The highest value in 2011 is right there in May. The highest value in 2012 is right there in May. The highest value in 2013 is right there in May. The highest value in 2014 is right there in May. So even though the total for the year keeps on increasing, it doesn't continually go up throughout the year. It has this the highest point of the year is in May. Now, if we look at the lowest point of the year, all right, and I'm going to put a rectangle around that. For this one, it's September. For this one, it's October. For this one, it's October. For this one, it's September. And for this one, it's September. So I have the highest values of carbon dioxide in May and the lowest values in September. All right. So during the course of the year, the carbon dioxide levels are going up and down, even though the average for the year keeps on going up. Now, the reason for that is plants. The reason for that is plants. All right. Because if you remember, plants carry on the process of photosynthesis. Now, if you remember what photosynthesis does, in the process of photosynthesis, plants take carbon dioxide and water and sunlight and then turn that into oxygen and food for the plant. All right. Now, plants aren't active the same amount all year round. There's some times of the year plants are more active than other times of the year. So when plants are really active, you're going to have more photosynthesis going on, and the amount of carbon dioxide is going to go down, and the amount of oxygen is going to go up. When plants are not very active and there's not a lot of photosynthesis going on, then the carbon dioxide levels go up, and the amount of oxygen goes down some. All right. So during the year, when the amount of this is changing because of the weather, results in how much plant activity there is, that'll cause this to kind of either go up like that or kind of go like that. All right, so that's why it fluctuates throughout the year. Now, we said the highest value again was in May, right? And the lowest values were either September or October. So why is that? Well, when you think of May, you think of May as being a fairly green month. You know, April showers bring May flowers. There's a fair amount of plant activity in May, but it has the highest value of carbon dioxide. And when you think of the months of September and October, you think about plants, the leaves falling off the trees, which would indicate that there's not as much photosynthesis going on. So you'd think then it'd be when the carbon dioxide levels would be higher. What you have to remember is it's not just what's going on that one month, it's what happened in the previous months. So even though in May, the amount of carbon dioxide, even in May, plants are starting to be more active, in the months of April, March, February, January, December, and November, like the 6 months before that, were all months where plants were not very active. So the carbon dioxide levels built up all that time to the point where it's highest in May. Now, when May rolls around, now plants start to become more active, and then over the next few months, the amount of carbon dioxide starts to go down. This is going down, 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 and then when you get to September and October, even though these months here were the ones where the plants start to, slow down again, because the previous few months there was a lot of plant activity, a lot of photosynthesis. By the time you get to there, the carbon dioxide levels have decreased. All right, so that's why the amount of carbon dioxide goes up and down throughout the year, but from one year to the next, it keeps going up and up and up. All right, so what you're going to have to do for this lab is all right, so later in the lab, you have this piece of graph paper, and it has the years 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, and then it also has the little months there, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So it has the letters for the various months right there. The numbers on the side, there's 380, 382, 384. So what that means is each one of those little lines goes up by 0.4. Each one of those little lines goes up by 0.4. All right, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to plot this information on the graph. All right, so let's say that this is the graph over here. Let's say here's the graph right there. All right. So there's 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. All right, so the first thing you're going to do on the graph is you're going to plot what the average value is for each year. So for example, 2010, the average was 389.9. So I find 389.9 over here. There's 2010. And since it's the average for the full year, I'm going to make a straight line across for that. And then for 2011, the average is 391.6. So I find that over here, and I put a straight line across for all of 2011. I find the average for 2012 over here. I make a straight line across for the average for the full year, the average for 2013, the average for 2014. So the averages for the year are going to be kind of, when you graph them, they're going to kind of look like steps. Right? Once you've done that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to plot all this data right here. All right? So 2010 January, I find a little J for January, and then I plot that point right there. And then February, all right, for 2010, 389.9. I plot that right there. So I'm going to plot all that data for each of the years. When I do that, my graph's going to kind of look something like this, roughly. All right. So once I have all my data points plotted, then I'm going to connect it with the line. So your graph should look roughly, should look roughly like that when you get done. So you can see that from one year to the next, the average keeps going up, but throughout the year, the amount of carbon dioxide is going up and down. So your graph's going to kind of look like that. Now, in addition to the big graph, what you also have is down here, I have the carbon dioxide data for 1959, right? So you can see the numbers here are substantially lower than the numbers here, giving you an idea how much the carbon dioxide's gone up. But there's a separate little mini graph in the lab right here. And you're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to plot the 1959 data on this little graph. So you put a straight line across for the average, and then you plot the points and make a line. Right. Next, now for as far as the questions go with the lab, all right, there's a page with questions. There's a page with questions. Questions are pretty straightforward here. Now, I actually changed the lab a little bit from what the directions in the lab said. I actually shortened it up and took out a step. As a result, in the lab, this whole section here about putting tracing paper on it and so forth, we didn't do any of that. So question 10, you could just cross out. So you don't have to do any of those questions right there to go with question 10. And there is a question 11. Question 11 was asking to do is to calculate the rate of change of the carbon dioxide from 1959 to 2014. All these boxes kind of make it look confusing. It's actually a fairly easy question. What you have to do for that one is that number right there, that's the carbon dioxide level, the average for 2014. That number right there is the average for 1959. So what you want to do is take that number and that number, and you're going to, it says difference between the average between 1959 and 2014. So you're going to take those two numbers and subtract them right there, and then you divide it by 55 years, because that's how many years apart they are, and that gives you the rate of change, or how much the carbon dioxide level is going up every year. Right? So it's fairly easy. So you take the average for 2014 minus the average from 1959, and then divide it by 55 years. And that is it. That is all there is to the lab. All right.